Hey guys, it's me Seren, back with another video. This is going to be a review video of episode 5 of Watchmen. I'm going to be doing this review video in the good, the bad, and the ugly format as always. I do want to start off by saying that I had a lot of theories by the end of this episode. They revealed a lot of crucial elements about the plot, and I definitely feel like we are sort of shifting into third act mode as we head into some of these final episodes. Again, I was very impressed by the writing. The use of title cards in this show has been very interesting thus far, and this week proved no different. We opened with the title card of Hoboken 1985, which also explained when and where we were when the episode starts, which I thought was just like really clever and unique. 1985 was the setting for the original Watchmen storyline, which included Ozymandias' manufactured Squid Attack. We learn a lot more about that this episode, and we also see the sort of direct consequences and effect that this attack had on several of our main characters that we've been watching thus far on this new iteration of Watchmen. We opened this episode on a religious group that's talking about the Doomsday Clock. It came across to me like early 7K almost, but that could be wrong. It was very Jehovah's Witness meets Scientology, like the Doomsday Clock just moved to 1 minute to midnight. Have you heard about our Lord and Savior? We open on this young kid, like this teenager that is spreading the good word. He meets a little goth chick on his first go around. He reveals that he's from Tulsa. I started to think that this is possibly going to end up being someone that we know in adulthood. It turned out that it was Wade. I don't think it's been revealed before that Wade is from Tulsa, and I thought this was a really cool way to introduce more backstory about his character and to flesh Wade out a little bit more. So the girl strips him naked and steals his clothes, and he goes into sort of self-flagellation mode. He's in a mirrored funhouse. She takes him in there and kind of leads him on, and then she strips him and takes his stuff, calls him like a Jesus freak or a Bible freak or something like that. He starts like yelling at himself in the mirror about how he's a dirty sinner, which I'm going to do a brief jump forward into something that we end up seeing later on in the episode. Later on, we see Wade watching like gay superhero porn, which makes me wonder if Wade is maybe bisexual or something like that. We do see that he's attracted to women. I feel like it's definitely shown to us that he's attracted to women, and we also meet his ex-wife in this episode, and I think it's implied that he loved her very much, and it just didn't work out because of some of their issues. But I also kind of got the feeling that he's also into men, and maybe he was even into men when he was younger, which is how he ended up as a part of this group. Just, I don't know, that maybe I'm like off base with that one, and maybe that was, he was just calling himself a dirty sinner because he like wanted to have sex with the girl. But it was sort of an interesting thing to show, and then to later on show him watching like gay porn. Anyways, the Squid Attack occurs while he's in the mirrored funhouse, and I felt while watching it like it was really cool getting these reminders that we are not in our universe, and this actually is a running theme of this episode. I felt it was our first time seeing the Squid Attack, which was so large scale. We literally see like piles and piles and piles of bodies bleeding out of the ears. We learn that people are living in the aftermath of it in the present day, in the way that they discuss it is clearly modeled after the way we talk about 9/11. It's very, it sounds horrible to say, but it is like kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, tongue in cheek. You know, this is supposed to be the way we talk about 9/11. There's like some dialogue sprinkled in about how Steven Spielberg made that Pale Horse movie that won all those awards that was about, 11/2. I think that's what the day is, 11/2. So again, just like really interesting world building, which I feel like I just keep championing the world building of this show because it's really a master class in world building and in just like reminding you you're not in the same universe. Things have occurred in this universe. Things have occurred that are part of the original Watchmen canon and are really affecting the characters that we see now. And it's funny to me, I want to know, like, what are the people saying that previously were talking so bad about, oh, this is not, our Watchmen, this is not the Watchmen we know, because now we're getting into plot lines that are direct follow-ups to our canon Watchmen, and they're doing a really great job of sort of interweaving these two stories and interweaving these characters that you know from the original Watchmen universe, situations that you know from the original Watchmen universe, and playing it out in this totally different setting. They're doing a great job. if you ask me. We see Wade judging an ad for people to come back to New York, We learn that 3 million people died during the attack. There was some really interesting phrasing used with this ad that they're trying to entice people to come back to New York City. The exact phrase of "it's been a long time ago and they forgot" was used, which I thought was extremely fortuitous in terms of a lot of these conversations we've been having, in present day about history and about, they won't know the difference. It was so long ago. Slavery was so long ago. All this stuff was so long ago. It doesn't matter. Again, just sort of like more tongue-in-cheek metaphorical references to things that are going on right now in our real lives, in our universe. I just love the way that they're working these references in there for us that are watching the show to pick up on. We see that the police wear masks in the precinct. We see them wearing masks even though they all know who they are. I literally made a note while I was watching, like, it's fucking weird that they wear the masks even though they all know who they are. It's pretty funny. And then this actually ended up being brought up in the dialogue of the show via Laurie Blake, the second Silk Spectre. And it's interesting because she's a canon character from the original Watchmen, but I feel like she's almost representative of the audience in a way, because even though she's clearly familiar with the old Watchmen canon and she serves as a really direct bridge between that and what we're seeing now, she's learning, she's learning about the way they do things post White Knight and post 7K, and she's questioning the way that they do things, and she's questioning why they're wearing the masks, and she's really serving as, I feel like, the mouthpiece and the voice of the audience of like, why do you do this? Why do you do that? Again, just really clever, ingenious writing of even using her as that type of vehicle for the audience. Is super smart. They could have stuck with the young dude that she had with her, I can't even remember his name, Seth or whatever, as the fan, and made him to be like the novice representative of the audience, but they didn't do that. They took this more interesting and fresh approach of using Laurie Blake that I really appreciated. Wade told her that it's regulation for them to conceal their identities even in the precinct, but we can all tell that all the police officers that wear them, they clearly rely on these masks and these cover-ups, these disguises as a security blanket almost, not just to protect their identities, but I've talked in other reviews about how they almost embellish their personalities and they become really these superheroes despite the fact that they don't have any actual powers. Once they put the mask on, it's really like they become somebody else. And as the episode unfolds, we see that Wade even fucking wears the mask at home, right? Like, he uses this material called reflectitine. That's what his mask is made out of. He also uses it on the inside of his hats. And we find out that it's a material that's supposed to be meant to protect against psychic blasts. I like that they went in depth on his PTSD from being in the Squid Attack. Wade's entire life revolves around being ready for another attack and protecting himself with this reflectitine. He has an alarm in his house. He runs drills on it until it malfunctions. He has a bunker in his basement. Like, he's prepared for the worst, and he's clearly still afraid. I like that they also included that the mask material and the alarm are from the same company called Extra Dimensional Security. Again, more world building. This is clearly a post-Squid Attack business. While watching it, I was just like, you gotta love capitalism, like profiteering off death. Like, the way that was included was really cool and interesting. We meet his ex-wife, who works at a place called Forever Pet. This is a lab where they clone pets so you don't have to fucking worry about them dying. Creepy as hell, but again, giving us some sort of explanation as to why she had access to a lab to test the pills, because Sister Night gave him the pills that her grandfather left behind in her car before he disappeared. Again, like, the technology in this universe is way more advanced than ours. They have, like, retail splicing and cloning of pets. There were lots of twins working in this place. I don't know if that was supposed to be sort of inferring that you could also clone people if you wanted to. Just hitting on a lot of really interesting notes that could be picked up later on in various storylines. Reminded me a lot of Black Mirror, seeing that type of technology and wondering how far could that be pushed. I like the introduction of this Forever Pet's place and his ex-wife a lot. I hope that we see more of that in the future. His wife informs him that the pills are a drug called nostalgia, which are a person's memories put in a pill form. She also informs him that taking the pills tends to cause psychosis. At the end of the episode, Sister Night takes all of the pills, so I'm really looking forward to see how they affect her in episode 6, and we're obviously going to learn more about her grandfather's backstory, her grandfather's memories, and possibly even what he and Lady True are working on depending on how much of his memories they show in the next episode. They also spoke about intergenerational trauma in this episode, which just completely blew me away. While Wade is in a support group for people that have been affected by the Squid Attack, which he leads, there was a conversation about trauma being written in genetics and inherited by later generations. This was my favorite scene of the show. I thought it was extremely well done, and the type of conversation that I honestly never thought that I would see some people having on television. We talk about this with slavery a lot, the concept of intergenerational trauma, and I also felt like it was very impactful and a very tasteful choice that the person on the show talking about intergenerational trauma was Black. It was a dude talking about how his mom was in the attack and in the psychic blast, and how he felt like he inherited her trauma and her fear. And to me, that whole scene and that whole conversation was just a clear musing on slavery in this country and racial violence like the Tulsa Massacre, and how that has affected generations of Black Americans in this country. And I really do genuinely feel like this show has had such insightful commentary on race thus far. I feel like they definitely did some research and handled these topics with care, which I appreciate a lot. I hope that doesn't change as we head into the end. I hope they don't start pulling the rug up from under us. I hope not, because I really have appreciated the way that they've been doing it thus far. At the support group, we also learned that Ozymandias' plan, which they show us in depth towards the end of the episode, but his plan basically worked. And these people really believed that they were on the verge of destroying each other, to ash in nuclear war, and that they were then forced to unite against the Squid. That's what they feel, that's what they believe. That's something that Ozymandias manufactured, he engineered, and it's just really, it's almost like, I know the concept of time is something that's played around with a lot in Watchmen, and with this episode we see, it's almost like we see the attack, we see the event, and we're seeing the aftermath at the exact same time, and we're learning towards the end of the episode that Ozymandias is the one absolutely that engineered it, and that it just all went according to plan. We're seeing the past, the present, and the future almost all at once, and it all went exactly how he thought it would. Wade meets a woman at the group, and they go out to a bar after. Turns out that Wade can tell when people are lying, and has a sidekick telling if people are lying, like doing that for focus groups, like the NYC commercial in the beginning. He watches people watching commercials and giving their feedback, and then lets the people that made the commercials know, like, this person was lying, this person was telling the truth, this is how they really felt. But obviously there's a way to get around this. Well, number one, I wonder if this ability is a residual from the psychic blast, which means it's some type of engineered side effect. And I also wonder if, I don't know what the rules of it are, because even though this woman that he meets, she doesn't lie about being a radiologist, she doesn't lie about how she feels about the Squid Attack, because he would have been able to tell if she was lying. But it does turn out that the whole situation was a setup, that she's a part of 7K, and that they set up the whole thing. They basically sent her into the meeting as bait and lured him to a 7K meeting. And there's a very, very, very cruel irony there, because his wife mentions in this episode him being afraid of another woman, running off with his clothes and leaving him naked, aka embarrassing him, fooling him, tricking him, like what happened before the attack. And then that actually happens here in a way, you messed up your marriage and spent all that time being paranoid just to get fucking got again. You get fooled and tricked by this woman, and then Wade comes to find out that the entire Squid Attack was fake. It's just, we really see things falling apart for him in this episode. I was just like, damn, Wade is having a rough life, he's having a hard time. We learned that 7K is messing around with portals. They're sending balls through them. This reminded me of Ozymandias launching people into the sky where they promptly disappear. I felt like there's obviously some universe hopping going on. I started getting some of these theories together, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more to the end of this review. But there's balls just falling out of the ceiling. 7K knows that Wade is Looking Glass. Lori Blake keeps calling him Mirror Guy, which I find to be hilarious, because I keep calling this nigga Mirror Guy too. Your face literally looks like a mirror. I don't know, Looking Glass sounds nice, but you look like Mirror Dude to me. In a twist that surprised no one, we find out that the senator is in 7K. For me, since day one, he's came across as like slimy politician, so that didn't surprise me. And it is finally confirmed that the chief was in 7K also. So they are both part of 7K. They reveal that to Wade. They reveal to Wade that the Squid Attack was staged. The senator threatens Sister Knight. He says that they have something really big that they're planning that's going to happen within the next 3 days, the same timeline as what Lady True is doing. He tells Mirror Dude to get Angela off his back while they do this Millennium Clock thing, or he will kill her and her family. He also says that he's going to tell everybody that Wade is crazy if he tries to tell what's going on. And it's like Wade does wear literal foil tin hats. And he has this PTSD going on. Like, he's really stuck between a rock and a hard place. They showed him the actual video of Ozymandias explaining and revealing that this was a plot that he engineered, that he made up the Squid Attack to unite humans by using fear, so that we would stop threatening to, nuclear holocaust, bomb each other. But he killed millions of people and traumatized millions more. So I definitely feel like the ends did not justify the means, which is a part of what we saw when Silk Spectre was telling her joke. She agrees the ends did not justify the means, and that he became a bad guy, an antagonist for what he did, right? Like, you created an interdimensional, a psychic squid or a psychic blast, and you just like we learned that Wade's basically whole life is a lie. Like, how many lives did Ozymandias destroy? Talking about it's for the fucking greater good, I imagine a better world, and all this other stuff. Like, no, you're playing God, which you're continuing to do in whatever this alternate dimension where you're like growing servants and killing them. Like, ultimately, I do feel like you're a narcissist and this is for the greater good of Ozymandias, and you just tell yourself that it's for the greater good of the world. And we also got some very interesting information about Ozymandias in this episode as well. We learned that we see him wherever he is, with all these reveals about playing around with portals into other dimensions and stuff. I'm thinking he's definitely trapped in some type of pocket universe. Maybe he's been banished there for what he did, or maybe he willingly went there after he engineered the Squid Attack and is now tired of it. But we see him launch himself into the air and disappear into this alternate, like, moon space or something. There's hundreds of his dead servants up there. He stacks them up to ask for help, and then his servants in the other universe, they pull him back, and the game warden, whoever that is, places him under arrest. I'm not sure what any of that is or what any of that means, but my theory is that everyone is working in their own way to bring Ozymandias back for their own reasons. I think 7K might be messing around with portals to possibly bring him back for their own nefarious purposes. I also think Lady True and Angela's grandfather, who we did not see this episode, are maybe building a machine that might also possibly bring him back. We did see that she has that statue of him in her house, and she's obviously some type of disciple of his. So I think that ultimately we have all these moving parts trying to like bring him back, or maybe even stage another attack, or like people are definitely playing around with like interdimensional travel here. And I just really loved them diving into this Squid Attack and seeing more of Wade, and it was so bittersweet watching Wade come to the conclusion that he doesn't have to be constantly afraid of, alternative universes and aliens anymore. You would think that would be a good thing, but it's like, it will never happen again, because it never happened the first time, really. And just his whole life has literally been a lie, because his whole life since he was this, teenager has revolved around the trauma from this attack, the mirrors, the fear of another attack, the fear of psychic blasts, the fear of what happened with the girl taking his clothes. That's also tied to, that's tied to the attack for him emotionally and mentally, because it happened just before. So the way that his relationships have played out, even becoming a cop with his mirror mask, all this stuff ties back to that initial event. And now he finds out basically that it's all fucking bullshit. It sucks, it sucks. He finds out that the senator was a part of 7K. He finds out that the chief is a part of 7K. The senator tells him that Angela either killed the chief or knows who did. So he finds out that Angela is involved. Just his whole life is kind of turned upside down. Blake bugs his fucking cactus, which he finds out in the beginning of the episode. And since the senator orders him to get Angela out of the way or else he'll kill her, he actually has Angela confess to knowing that her grandfather killed the chief and covering it up. He has her kind of talk into the cactus, and she's arrested at the end of the episode, and then she takes all of the nostalgia pills. So again, really curious to see these memories in the next episode and how that plays out. Loved this one. Still loving the writing. Still loving the world building. Still loving the extras like the music and the title cards. Love that they actually showed the Squid Attack, like they showed a fucking gigantic squid on a building in New York. I liked it. I like that we got some direct ties into the canon Watchmen universe. I still think they're doing a really good job. The only thing I'm going to put in the bad is that when Wade went to go see his wife, it was a little exposition-y. There was a lot of talking and a lot of like, I spent 7 years trying to convince you, things that you wouldn't really say in real life because like the other person knows, like the other person was there. Like they know you were together 7 years. There's no need to say that. That's exposition. And that kind of like takes away a little bit when the rest of the writing is like so strong. But, it would have been nice to maybe see like a quick flashback or something rather than have her tell us. But Wade isn't even really a main character like that, even though this was a Wade-centric episode. So they probably just didn't want to waste that much time on a flashback when we already got a flashback of him, in the Squid Attack or whatever. But that's really my only teeny tiny, not even a real gripe, but sort of with this. Moving right along, still enjoying it. Again, I hope they don't try to twist on us or pull the rug out from under us and switch the story around at the end, because I am still super loving Watchmen. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.